Oi, oi, what have we here? Leather jacket Josh, kind of like leather jacket Malcolm, but I don't plan on selling out anytime soon. So that's good. It's a bit chilly here because it's winter, and in the winter time, the temperature drops. That's just some facts for you. Another fact that I think is interesting, something that I've observed, is that we're really struggling to all get along. And that, for me, is a big concern. So COVID, obviously, a huge concern just in general. Lots of people sick, lots of people dead. Yes, lots of people recovering. Great, that's a good thing. That's not a terrible thing. That's a great thing. We want lots of people to recover. But we're in this situation where it is disproportionately affecting, obviously, economically less developed countries. Countries that don't have amazing medical infrastructure also don't have the money to buy vaccines and things like that. And so I can't help but think we're in this situation. It's a global pandemic. It's definitely happening. That's not in dispute. If you are disputing it, then you're probably not going to enjoy the rest of this video, so don't worry about it. But we're definitely in the middle of a global pandemic. It's definitely because of this bug, this COVID disease. It's happening in real time, and it's happening all over the world, and people are dying in front of our faces right now. Economies are locked down in real time, in our faces. People are dying. Things are difficult for a lot of people, a lot of countries. People are struggling. We basically end up in this situation where we've got 5 solutions, whatever, Pfizer, biotech, Johnson & Johnson, whatever. There's the 5 vaccines. So we have the sort of answer, or at least a large part of the answer, in that if everyone gets vaccinated, it nips it in the bud. Now, of course, if you're healthy, you probably won't die. That's true. It's also true of every disease and injury known to mankind. If you're in good shape, if you're happy and healthy, if you're not stressed, if you're feeling good, if you eat well, you're less likely to die of literally anything. So let's not get stuck in the quagmire of, people need to work out and eat better. And yes, all of that. Yes, let's take that for granted. Let's also take for granted that we're not all born in Australia where we have access to all of these things. And even in Australia, we're not all in a tax bracket that allows us to engage with healthy eating, and we're not stressed out of our minds because we're trying to make ends meet and all these kinds of things. So let's put that to the side and say the thing that overall works to put a pin in a pandemic of this size is to just get everyone vaccinated. There's consensus, global consensus on this. All the experts agree. There's obviously not regular person consensus. There's not social media outrage consensus, but that's okay. It is what it is. The general consensus globally is, yes, we need the vaccines. So here's the issue. There's like 8 billion people. Let's call it 9 billion people in the world. So we need essentially, let's say 9 billion jabs. Let's call it 10 billion jabs with like a 10%, whoops, we dropped it or buggered it or lost it rate. And we need to just get them into everyone. Okay, I'm not saying you have to have it, and I'm not saying you need a passport or whatever, so don't at me with my body, my choice, whatever. Do whatever you want. But the thing is, to arrest the progress of a pandemic, the best way is to have people vaccinated. It's stopped many before. It's stopped lots of endemic diseases. It's a great way to do it, and it works. And we cannot get consensus on just rolling it out, committing to a global production of 10 billion shots, and then just giving it to everyone and making sure every country gets it. So we're happy to let people in Taiwan and in India and China and Tanzania and Brazil and Peru just get decimated by this virus, have people that overwhelming already not very great healthcare systems, because obviously there's a number of reasons in developing countries it's not that good. And we can't all just get together and say, let's just get 10 billion jabs, mail them out everywhere, make sure everyone's got support to get to communities and get them done. Even if you started by delivering them largely in just the major metropolises. Anyway, the cities. If you just deliver it to the cities first and then work your way out from there, however you want to deliver it, that's not my area of expertise, but we can't get an agreement on that. Now, this is a fairly binary problem. It's a one disease, and there's this solution that works. And is working, and we can see it working in the States and in the UK and in places that have been fortunate enough to be able to roll out the vaccines with great efficacy. So my question is, how on earth are we supposed to get some kind of global consensus on these problems that people can't see with their eyeballs immediately, like climate change, like deforestation? How do we get consensus around income and wealth inequality, around alleviating the challenges that people are facing in countries that most people don't see or have anything to do with or any knowledge about? We can't even get people to commit to just caring about their neighbours in the neighbourhoods that they're in. And globally, we can't get a consensus that says, yeah, just roll out these vaccines to everybody because of the sovereignty of profit making for some of these companies, which is ridiculous. I think we have a long way to go to establish the kinds of things that make sense for everybody and a goal that we want for everyone. For me, it's got to be that we want everyone to be housed and employed, to have adequate calories and access to utilities, to have good medical care and education, and access to employment. And I don't understand why that's such a controversial thing to try and advocate for. They're complicated problems, but they require everyone going in the same direction. And at some point, we've got to just put the profit making of a handful of companies to the side, and not to say it shouldn't happen, and to tear apart an avenue to profit for these organisations. But the truth is they profit largely off state-funded research. And if we just said, listen, now to 10 billion jabs, we'll do like a cost-plus thing. We're setting the price as a global market. It's going to be $1 a jab. And then after 10 billion, we're going to put another dollar in on top of every jab, and every company that's making it, there's $10 billion worth of profit there. And well done, you've saved the planet from dying of COVID. The fact that we can't get a consensus on that is a real concern, because this is a pretty binary problem and we've got a bazillion other problems that people can't come together on. So Leather Jacket Josh has concerns about these things because we need consensus. We need people to get behind ideas and movements and beliefs that can move people forward. There's a lot of people complaining, a lot of people yelling at stuff that they don't like, and then a lot of cause battling where someone says, I care about this, I care about this. And I think that at the end of the day, who's out there saying we need to make sure that people have access to these fundamental things, because then happy, healthy, less stressed, less desperate people make better choices, they make better communities, they make happier people, happier kids. If we're educating, if we're supplying food, we can, instead of having all this food waste, if we're supplying people with their daily caloric needs, wherever they are in the world, if we're taking the time to make sure that our baseline is what we're about. We don't need more billionaires, we don't need any trillionaires, we don't really need any billionaires. My whole life I've just watched the ceiling rise for what people can have and accumulate and consume, and what we haven't seen is the floor come up in a commensurate way. It's come up, but it's not come up the same way that, now there's billionaires with $200 billion. Like, what is the point of that? So I think we need to change the discussion to one about what we want for everyone and why that's important, how we can bring people together. In a lot of these democracies, we have a representative government, and you cannot just engage with them in little moments when you're annoyed. You need to pay attention, you need to think about the kinds of things you want to advocate for, and you need to hold them accountable to actually making progress in that direction and committing to looking after not just us, not just the people that we know, not just ourselves, but also to advocate loudly, globally, for better assistance for countries and people that are not as well off as we are. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I'd love to see that happen, but I certainly have concerns that the fact we can't roll out vaccines to everybody is indicative of the challenges we face trying to actually get sustainability and climate change on the agenda in any meaningful way. That's contentious at the best of times. What organisations can do is contentious. What businesses can do and what countries are prepared to invest in. So that's a concern. I think we should pay attention to what's happening and have a think about the kinds of stuff we want going forward, because otherwise it's going to be real hot, real dry. People are going to be real sick, and that's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for us, and it's really not going to be good for people that are in countries that are already struggling, and in communities in our own country that don't have access to the amenity and support that some of us in the cities are used to. So we can do better. We can be better. We should look after each other. We should pay attention and engage in a rational and broadly considerate way. And of course, we should just be nice.